Most people don't lose their lives all at once. They lose them a little at a time, usually before breakfast. They wake up already behind, already rushed, already reacting. And then they wonder why the evening feels heavy, unfulfilled, and unfinished. The truth is simple, yet uncomfortable. The evening never decides your life. The morning does. Every day hands you a fresh canvas, and the first few hours determine whether you will paint with purpose or let the world throw colors at you. Mornings are quiet for a reason. They are asking you a question before the noise begins. Who will you become today? Not later, not someday, today. Most people treat mornings like an inconvenience, something to rush through so they can get to the real part of the day. But mornings are not a warm-up act. They are the planning room of your life. They are the architect's table where the entire structure of the day is quietly designed. Whatever is decided there will show up later in visible form, whether you like the results or not. An architect never starts building without a blueprint. They don't arrive at a construction site and say, "Let's see what happens today." Yet many people wake up exactly like that. No plan, no intention, no direction. Then they wonder why their days feel unstable, why nothing seems to stand strong, why everything feels temporary and rushed. The problem is not a lack of effort. The problem is a lack of design. The morning is the only part of the day that belongs mostly to you. Before the phone starts ringing, before demands show up, before opinions and problems enter the room, there is a small window of quiet authority. In that window, you decide who will be in charge today, your values or your circumstances, your goals or your habits, your future or your comfort. What you choose to think about in the morning becomes the framework of your day. If you begin with clarity, the day tends to organize itself around that clarity. If you begin with chaos, the rest of the hours simply follow that pattern. Thoughts are not harmless. They are instructions. The morning mind writes those instructions, and the day spends its time carrying them out. Designing a morning does not mean perfection. It means intention. It means choosing before you are forced to react. A few minutes of reflection can save hours of regret. A small act of discipline early can prevent a long list of excuses later. The architect knows that small errors in design become expensive mistakes in execution. Life works the same way. When you design your morning, you decide your priorities before distractions vote for you. You choose what matters while your mind is still clear. Reading a few pages, planning the day, moving the body, sitting in silence, reminding yourself of long-term goals. These are not habits of convenience, they are habits of control. They quietly put you back in the driver's seat. Most stress is not caused by too much to do. It is caused by starting the day without direction. When the day is not designed, everything feels urgent. When the day is designed, even challenges feel manageable. The difference is not in the workload. The difference is in the foundation laid early. Mornings also shape identity. What you do consistently at the start of the day tells you who you are becoming. If you begin every day rushed and unprepared, you start to see yourself as someone who is always behind. If you begin with purpose, you start to believe you are someone who leads rather than follows. Identity is formed quietly, one morning at a time. The architect's table is not noisy. It doesn't demand attention. That is why many people ignore it. But those who understand its power treat mornings with respect. They protect them. They don't hand them over casually to screens, complaints, or other people's agendas. They know that whoever controls the morning often controls the outcome. Life doesn't improve by accident. It improves by design. And design always begins before the work starts. The morning is that beginning. If you want better evenings, better weeks, and eventually a better life, you don't start by changing everything at once. You start by deciding what kind of day you are going to build before the first brick is laid. People often search for powerful breakthroughs, dramatic changes, and overnight transformations, yet they overlook the quiet force that shapes their lives every single day. Small morning disciplines may look insignificant in the moment, but they carry a strength that multiplies over time. They are simple actions, repeated consistently, that quietly decide how the evening will feel and what the day will ultimately produce. The morning does not ask for heroics. It asks for honesty and commitment. Waking up a little earlier, choosing to move instead of scroll, thinking before reacting, planning instead of drifting, these are not grand gestures. They are modest decisions. But life is rarely changed by what is dramatic. It is changed by what is repeated. What you practice every morning becomes the tone of your entire day. Discipline in the morning creates freedom in the evening. When you do the difficult but necessary things early, the rest of the day becomes lighter. When you avoid them, the weight follows you into the night. Many people arrive at the evening exhausted, not because the day was too demanding, but because they carried unresolved intentions all day long. A disciplined morning removes that burden before it grows heavy. Small disciplines work because they build momentum. One good choice makes the next one easier. A focused start improves decision-making. A calm beginning reduces emotional spending later. When the morning is intentional, the mind is less reactive, and reactions are what drain energy the fastest. Energy is not lost through effort, it is lost through resistance and confusion. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from keeping small promises to yourself. When you follow through on a morning routine, even a simple one, you reinforce trust with yourself. That trust shows up in the evening as self-respect. You can rest without guilt. You can reflect without regret. The day may not have been perfect, but it was lived with integrity. Most people underestimate the compounding effect of small actions. 5 minutes of planning saves hours of distraction. 10 minutes of learning adds up to knowledge that changes opportunities. A short period of silence sharpens awareness for the entire day. These moments may seem too small to matter, yet they influence everything that follows. The evening becomes proof of what was practiced early. Evenings expose patterns. If the day felt rushed, scattered, and reactive, it is often because the morning lacked structure. If the evening feels calm and satisfying, it is rarely accidental. It is usually the result of early discipline. You don't accidentally end a day well. You earn it through the way you began. Morning discipline also protects you from future regret. When you do what matters first, you are less likely to feel the sting of wasted time later. Regret is not about failure, it is about neglect. Neglecting small disciplines leads to large disappointments. Honoring them leads to quiet pride. The beauty of small morning disciplines is that they are accessible to everyone. They don't require talent, money, or perfect conditions. They only require a decision. And that decision, made consistently, shapes character. Character then shapes choices. Choices shape outcomes. Success rarely announces itself loudly. It shows up gently at the end of the day when you realize you did what you said you would do. That sense of completion is powerful. It allows you to rest deeply, think clearly, and wake up ready to repeat the process. The evening becomes a reward, not a reminder of missed opportunities. In the end, evenings are not decided by luck or mood. They are decided by the small, often unnoticed disciplines practiced in the morning, repeated until they become part of who you are and how you live. Evenings have a way of telling the truth that the day tries to hide. During the busy hours, it is easy to feel productive without actually progressing, to feel occupied without being effective. Noise, movement, and activity can create the illusion of accomplishment. But when the day slows down and the world grows quiet, the evening removes those illusions. What remains is an honest reflection of how the day was truly lived. You cannot argue with the evening. It does not respond to excuses, intentions, or plans that were never acted upon. It simply presents the results. Peace or restlessness, satisfaction or regret, clarity or confusion. All of these emotions at night are signals. They are not random feelings. They are responses to the choices made throughout the day. The evening is the scoreboard, not the practice field. Many people avoid evenings for this very reason. They fill them with noise, screens, and distractions because silence asks uncomfortable questions. Did I do what mattered today? Did I move closer to the life I say I want? Did my actions match my values? The evening doesn't accuse, but it reveals. And what it reveals can either calm the mind or disturb it. A fulfilled evening usually follows a day lived with intention. It does not require perfection. It requires alignment. When effort is placed where it belongs, even an incomplete day can feel complete. On the other hand, a day spent reacting, procrastinating, or avoiding priorities often ends with an uneasy feeling that something important was left undone. That feeling is not fatigue. It is awareness. Evenings also reveal emotional habits. If anger, frustration, or dissatisfaction show up regularly at night, they are often the result of unaddressed decisions earlier, unspoken boundaries, delayed responsibilities, and ignored priorities accumulate throughout the day. By the time evening arrives, the emotional weight becomes visible. The truth is not that the day was too hard. The truth is that it was poorly directed. There is a powerful lesson hidden in this honesty. The evening does not need to be fixed. The day before it does. Trying to improve evenings without changing daily behavior is like trying to improve a harvest without changing how you plant. The evening is not the problem. It is the report. This is why reflection at night can be such a valuable teacher. When you allow yourself a moment of stillness, the evening highlights patterns. It shows you what drains you, what fulfills you, and what you keep postponing. Over time, these patterns become clear. The same frustrations appear. The same regrets repeat, and so do the same opportunities to change. Evenings reward those who lived honestly during the day. Honesty means facing what matters even when it is uncomfortable. It means choosing progress over ease, discipline over distraction. When you do that, the evening becomes a place of quiet confidence. You may be tired, but you are not dissatisfied. You may have more to do, but you are not disappointed in yourself. There is also a sense of closure that comes from a well-lived day. Closure allows the mind to rest. It prevents tomorrow from stealing tonight's peace. When the day has been lived deliberately, the evening does not chase you with unfinished emotional business. It allows you to slow down without guilt. People often ask how to feel better at night, how to end the day with calm and clarity. The answer is rarely found in the evening itself. It is found in how the morning began and how the hours in between were handled. The evening is simply the mirror held up at the end of the day. Once you understand this, you stop fighting the truth of the evening and start using it as guidance. You begin to see it as feedback, not punishment. Each night becomes a quiet conversation with your choices, showing you what worked, what didn't, and what needs to change. And when you listen to that truth consistently, you slowly learn how to live days that end not in regret or restlessness, but in a sense of earned peace that no distraction can replace. Many people spend their lives waiting for motivation to strike, for the right mood, the perfect timing, or a sudden surge of inspiration. They tell themselves that one day they will feel ready, and when that day comes, success will finally begin. But success rarely works that way. It does not arrive unannounced or by accident. More often than not, it shows up because someone made a decision long before the moment required it. What looks like luck from the outside is usually preparation on the inside. People admire results without seeing the routine that produced them. They see confidence without noticing the early hours, the quiet planning, the deliberate choices made when no one was watching. Success does not wait to see how the day unfolds. It is scheduled early, placed deliberately into the morning, and protected from excuses. Scheduling success is not about controlling every minute. It is about deciding in advance what deserves your best energy. When you choose your priorities before distractions arrive, you reduce the chances of wasting the day on what feels urgent but isn't important. The mind performs better when it knows what matters. Clarity removes friction. Uncertainty invites delay. Early decisions carry power because they are made when the mind is fresh and less influenced by emotion. Later in the day, fatigue weakens judgment. Small compromises begin to feel reasonable. Procrastination disguises itself as patience. But when a commitment is made early, it becomes an anchor. It holds you steady when the day tries to pull you off course. Many people confuse flexibility with freedom. They keep their days open, believing this gives them more control. In reality, it often gives control away. Without a plan, the loudest demand wins. Without a schedule, the easiest option dominates. Success is not built on ease, it is built on consistency. And consistency requires structure. When you schedule important actions early, you remove the need for constant decision-making. The work becomes automatic. This conserves mental energy and reduces stress. Instead of debating whether to act, you simply follow through. Discipline replaces negotiation. Over time, this creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in personal growth. Early scheduling also builds trust with yourself. Each time you honor a planned commitment, you strengthen your sense of reliability. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity matters. People rarely rise above the image they hold of themselves. When your actions confirm your intentions, confidence grows quietly but steadily. Success feels less overwhelming when broken into planned steps. Large goals intimidate when they remain vague. When they are scheduled, they become manageable. A book is written page by page. A business is built conversation by conversation. A strong body is created workout by workout. None of these happen accidentally. They happen because time was reserved for them before life got busy. The morning is the ideal place for these decisions. It is when resistance is lowest and clarity is highest. Choosing to schedule your priorities early is a form of self-respect. It says that your goals matter enough to be protected. It acknowledges that waiting for spare time is the fastest way to abandon what is important. When success is scheduled, evenings change. There is less guilt, less anxiety, less wondering where the day went. Even if everything was not completed, you know the essential work was addressed. That knowledge creates peace. It allows rest without regret and recovery without self-criticism. People who consistently succeed are not necessarily more talented or more motivated. They are simply more deliberate. They decide early and execute consistently. They understand that life rewards those who prepare before the opportunity appears. Once you stop waiting for success to find you and start reserving time for it, your days gain direction and your efforts gain purpose, because what you plan early has a way of showing up later in results that no accident could ever produce. Every day begins with a quiet moment that most people overlook. A moment when nothing has happened yet, but everything is possible. What you do in those early hours may not feel dramatic, but it carries consequences that reach far beyond the morning itself. What you practice at dawn does not stay there. It follows you, shapes you, and eventually decides what you experience by the time the day comes to rest. Morning actions are rehearsals for the rest of life. They train the mind in how to respond, how to focus, and how to value time. If the first habits of the day are careless, rushed, or reactive, the mind learns that direction is optional. If the first habits are intentional, disciplined, and calm, the mind learns that purpose comes first. Practice is never neutral. It is always teaching something. What you deserve in the evening is not about luck or circumstance. It is about alignment. Peace, confidence, and satisfaction are not random rewards. They are outcomes earned through consistency. When you honor your values early in the day, you create internal harmony. That harmony shows up later as a sense of completion, even if the day was demanding. Many people want better evenings without changing their mornings. They seek rest without effort, clarity without discipline, pride without preparation. But the mind knows when corners have been cut. It remembers postponed tasks, ignored priorities, and broken promises. These memories surface at night as restlessness. The evening does not punish you, it reflects you. Practicing discipline at dawn builds self-respect. Each small action done with intention sends a message to the self that you matter, that your goals are worth effort, that your time has value. Over time, these messages form belief, and belief shapes behavior. When belief is strong, follow-through becomes natural. There is also a powerful emotional reward in knowing you started well. Even if the day brings challenges, setbacks, or interruptions, a solid morning creates a foundation of confidence. You know you showed up when it counted. That knowledge carries you through the hours and softens the impact of obstacles. You are less reactive because you are already anchored. What you practice early also determines how you handle pressure later. A mind trained in focus handles stress with clarity. A body trained in movement carries energy longer. A spirit trained in gratitude sees opportunity where others see inconvenience. These qualities are not turned on at night. They are developed in the quiet practice of the morning. Evenings often bring reflection, whether invited or not. The mind reviews the day, consciously or unconsciously. When you practiced intention at dawn, that review is gentle. It acknowledges effort, learning, and progress. When you neglected the morning, the review becomes harsh. It points out avoidance and wasted time. This difference shapes sleep, mood, and readiness for tomorrow. Deserving a peaceful evening is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about doing what matters first. Priorities honored early reduce regret later. Effort invested early reduces emotional debt. The day feels fuller, not because more was done, but because the right things were done. The idea of deserving is not about entitlement. It is about cause and effect. Actions create outcomes. Consistent practice creates identity. Identity attracts results. When mornings are aligned with values, evenings align with satisfaction. This is not philosophy. It is observation repeated across lives and generations. Those who understand this do not rush their mornings or give them away cheaply. They treat dawn with respect. They know that the tone set there echoes through the day and settles into the evening as a quiet sense of earned rest. In time, you stop chasing better nights and start building better mornings, knowing that what you repeatedly practice at the start of the day will always decide what you experience when the day comes to a close. Life often feels overwhelming, not because it is too demanding, but because it is being lived on autopilot. Many people move through their days reacting to whatever appears next, responding to messages, problems, and expectations without ever stopping to decide what truly matters. Over time, this reactive pattern creates exhaustion, frustration, and a sense that life is happening to them rather than being shaped by them. The shift begins the moment intention replaces reaction. Reaction is easy because it requires no leadership. It allows circumstances, emotions, and other people to take control. Intention, on the other hand, requires awareness and courage. It asks you to pause, to think, and to choose before acting. That pause may seem small, but it changes everything. In that space, you reclaim authority over your time, your energy, and your direction. When intention guides the day, priorities become clear. You are no longer pulled in every direction by urgency. Instead, you decide where your best effort belongs. This does not eliminate challenges, but it changes how they are handled. Problems become tasks rather than threats. Distractions lose their power because they no longer align with what you have chosen to pursue. Reaction keeps you busy. Intention makes you effective. A reactive day is filled with movement, but ends with little meaning. An intentional day may include fewer actions, but each one carries purpose. This difference is often revealed in the evening when the mind reviews the day and asks whether progress was made or merely time was spent. Replacing reaction with intention also changes emotional patterns. Many negative emotions come from feeling out of control. When life feels unpredictable, anxiety grows. When demands feel endless, resentment builds. Intention restores a sense of agency. Even when outcomes are uncertain, the act of choosing reduces emotional chaos. You may not control everything that happens, but you control how you respond. Intention also strengthens discipline. When actions are guided by clear reasons, resistance weakens. You are less likely to procrastinate because you understand the purpose behind the effort. Work becomes less about obligation and more about alignment. This does not make tasks easier, but it makes them meaningful. Over time, intentional living reshapes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who leads rather than follows, someone who acts deliberately rather than impulsively. This self-image influences future choices. Confidence grows not from external validation, but from internal consistency. Each intentional decision reinforces the belief that you are capable of directing your own life. Even small acts of intention create ripple effects. Choosing how to start the day influences how challenges are met later. Deciding what to focus on reduces wasted energy. Setting boundaries protects mental clarity. These choices accumulate, gradually changing the trajectory of life. What once felt chaotic begins to feel manageable. Reaction often disguises itself as productivity. It convinces you that responding quickly is the same as progressing meaningfully. Intention exposes this illusion. It asks harder questions. Is this necessary? Is this aligned? Is this moving me closer to who I want to become? These questions may slow you down at first, but they save years in the long run. The most powerful aspect of intention is that it brings coherence to life. Instead of fragmented days and scattered efforts, there is a sense of direction. Even setbacks feel less discouraging because they occur within a larger purpose. You are not lost. You are adjusting. When intention replaces reaction, evenings feel different. There is less mental noise, less replaying of missed opportunities, less self-criticism. The day may have been challenging, but it was lived consciously. That awareness creates peace. It allows rest to be restorative rather than restless. Life does not become easier the moment you live intentionally, but it becomes clearer. And clarity changes how effort feels, how time is used, and how meaning is experienced. In the end, the quality of life is not determined by what happens to you, but by the degree to which you choose your responses, your priorities, and your direction. Allowing intention to quietly shape your days instead of letting reaction decide them for you